your White House put into concealing President Biden's fragility? That's
Jackie?
John, President-elect Trump scoring another major legal victory as Georgia's Court of Appeals disqualifies Fulton County DA Fani Willis and her office from the 2020 election interference case. The judge who wrote the majority court's ruling stating, quote, "This is the rare case in which disqualification is mandated and no other remedy will suffice to restore public confidence in the integrity of these proceedings." The court declined to dismiss the indictment, though, leaving this case in limbo. Let's bring in Shannon Bream, anchor of Fox News Sunday, and a huge legal expert whose expertise I really need to help break this down, Shannon, because it seems to me that choosing not to toss the indictment really leaves this case in limbo. And you have the president-elect saying in a statement, there's no way such corrupt people can lead a case and then it gets taken over by somebody else. It was a corrupt case, so how could it be taken over by somebody else? Does he have a point there? Because Fani Willis, at the end of the day, even though she might be removed from this, she decided what the charges were and who to prosecute.
She did, and yet what we got was an indictment, Jackie. And so what the judge said in this latest decision, at least the majority of opinion in this appellate case, he said, there's not enough here for me to get rid of the indictment, but there is this issue of her staying in charge of this case. But you're right, she was from the get-go, from the beginning, the one who was having meetings, who was gathering evidence, who was deciding, who was presenting this so that it did turn into an indictment. But what the judge said essentially was, I don't even have to find a conflict here. I don't find that based on the information, the evidence below. But what I found is there's this appearance, which is a problem. And how can people of Georgia have confidence in this system when there's so much of an appearance of a conflict that the lower court just didn't get this right? Because remember, Scott McAfee, that judge, and we covered this, all of us, for days as he was hearing evidence. What he ultimately said is, listen, there's an issue here. There's an appearance issue. And so these are your two options. Either she goes or Nathan Wade goes. Nathan Wade decided to leave, and that was the way they resolved this. But this appellate court said that's not good enough because there was so much that happened prior to that and leading up to this that she's got to step down off the case.
Fani Willis' office filed a notice to have the state Supreme Court review this decision. But this is what the judge wrote. While this is the rare case in which DA Willis and her office must be disqualified, we cannot conclude that the record also supports the imposition of the extreme sanction of dismissal of the indictment under the appropriate standard. Where do you think this state Supreme Court's going to go with this?
Well, it'll be interesting to see where they come down on this after the different reasoning we got from the trial court and the appellate court about whether they think that appearance is enough to say that she doesn't stay, but the case stays intact. Because now you have to, as you referenced earlier on, you've got to find out if there's another prosecutor within the state of Georgia who will be willing to take on this case, to take a deep dive into it, and whether, after they examine it as well, they think it has what it takes to go the distance. And remember, it's not just President Trump. We have to remind people there are many, many other co-defendants in this as well. So this is a huge group of people that are waiting, staying in that limbo and unaware of what's going to happen next. Will there be another prosecutor who wants to step into this after all of the trouble that it's had and knowing this appeal will go to the state Supreme Court too? We'll have to see.
Oh, and where does Fani Willis go after this? I mean, it seems to me it would be
just
tough
reelected.
for her. Yeah, yes. To your point, though, Trump does still have some remaining charges in this case, including violation of the Georgia RICO Act, conspiracy to commit impersonating a public officer, conspiracy to commit forgery in the first degree. You know, how will this be complicated by the fact that pretty soon here, Trump's going to be a sitting president?
Yeah,
how does that change things?